Hello, this is Lynette Calianta. I'm a Global Korea Scholarship alumna batch 2013 and a graduate of Master of International Area Studies from Seoul National University. I assume you fully read and understood the guidelines for the Global Korea Scholarship. I know you are currently mailing your application forms and excellently showcasing your accomplishments. To further help you with your applications, I will be giving you a short tips on how to ace your interviews. If you will be applying for the embassy track, you will be given two sets of interviews. First round is a 5 to 15 minutes panel interview with the Korean embassy interviewers. And after you pass it, the second round will be a scheduled interviews with professors from your three chosen universities, where they will be asking you questions related to your chosen majors. So that worry, the interviews will be conducted in English. If you are trying to apply for the university track, on the other hand, you will be given a short interview with the professors assigned to you. So just like any other application, the panel of interviewers will ask you to answer these 10 simple questions. First, they will be asking you to introduce yourself. How do you actually introduce yourself? When introducing yourself, don't just give a short intro like stating your name or what you're currently doing, but make it extra special by mentioning something relevant to Korea. For example, try to relate your current job with Korea. Also, if you're currently working, they will probably ask you for certain reasons why you would rather apply for this scholarship rather than keeping your work. So you might want to think about valid and convincing reasons. You can also greet them annyeonghaseyo, which means hello in Korean. So the interviewers can actually feel you're interested to learn the language. Then smoothly start your formal English self-introduction. Second, they will ask you to explain your strengths and weaknesses. For your strength, you can mention something you can relate to your study. For example, if your major will involve lots of laboratory works, perhaps patience and keen to details are some of your strengths. For the weaknesses, you can say something that will not really affect tremendously your study or something that can also be considered as a strength, like being perfectionist, for example, can be a double-edged sword as it can also stress you out unnecessarily to some extent. Make sure your answer for this part is a reflection of what you have indicated in your application forms, so you will sound more convincing and sincere. Third, they might ask you for the possible difficulties that you may encounter while studying in Korea. Given that you are not a native speaker of the Korean language, you can mention language barrier as one of your possible difficulties, but make sure to say that you can confidently overcome it as you are very passionate to learn the Korean language. You can also mention your Korean language skills if applicable, if you only have it. Do not worry, it's not actually compulsory, so do not worry if you don't have any background of the Korean language. After all scholars will be given 1 year to study the program. Okay, you can also mention your homesickness, weather changes, or cultural differences, but firmly state that you are more than willing to adopt and accept the culture of Korea if you will be chosen as one of the scholars. So for me, I actually mentioned those things, but since during that time I'm very fascinated to Korean drama, so I make sure that I mention that I can adopt by watching drama, something like that. Fourth, interviewers will definitely ask you to elaborate your rationale why you choose Korea and Global Korea Scholarship rather than other countries or other scholarships. For this part, you can do your research. You need to emphasize that Korea offers the best education for the specific area or major you wanted to pursue. If you can add a specific global ranking, that will be better. Make sure to make your answer sound smooth, but still giving facts as it will be a plus for you. Try to relate it as well on a personal level. If you have been to Korea, whether for tourism purposes or for an exchange program during your university days, you might want to mention that as well. For me, I had experience being an exchange student for 1.5 months in South Korea in 2011, and I mentioned that it was not enough for me to learn a lot of things about Korea, so I decided to pursue my master's degree in South Korea, something like that. Related to that, interviewers sometimes will ask you to explain why you want to study the specific course in a specific university you indicated in your application form. So make sure that you give a concrete rationale of choosing the university and your major. So you can focus on their good points, their global and local ranking, specialty of that university, etc. Fifth, they will be asking you to explain your plans, usually the one you indicated in your statement of purpose or study plan. Better if you can emphasize your detailed plans, where and how you will use your knowledge from Korea back to our home country, the Philippines. If possible, refrain from saying that you plan to work in Korea instead of working back to the Philippines. For your reference, the goal of the scholarship is for us scholars to apply what we have learned from Korean experience to our home country. So if you can provide a specific experience of Korea that you wish the Philippines have, that will be better as they can feel you really find time to study about their country. Sixth question can be related on how do you actually see yourself after you graduate from your master's or PhD program. For this part, you need to be as detailed as possible. You can mention your specific plan to work to a government office, or in the academe or any private institution, non-government institution where you can apply your knowledge. Last but definitely not the least is the question about why NIIED should choose you. Similar to any job interviews, you can say something that's very unique to you. For example, your interest that will make a meaningful contribution for the two republics, emphasizing the difference and similarities of the Philippines and South Korea, then your plans to make bridge the gap. Okay, so there. In conclusion, here are my general listening interview tips. First, be yourself and stay confident. Whether it will be a physical or a phone interview, make sure to dress presentably and comfortably. You don't like to mess up your interviews just because your clothes are too tight or uncomfortable. Second, make your answers concise but unique and impactful. Third, avoid giving vague or too general answers. As much as possible, you should be specific and make your answer as personal as possible. Last but definitely not the least, study and familiarize yourself to what you have written or indicated in your application forms because that will help you a lot in answering the questions of the interviewers. Hope this video helps you. Good luck!